yeah, cool. Okay. Welcome to the Experience Show.
Thanks.
And we're going to kind of call it the Big K Experience Show again.
All right.
Because that's what it was before.
Yeah.
It's been a few years since you've been hanging out in Kingman, talking to us. You brought a guest with you from Las Vegas. We got Lynn here, who's doing mediumship vibes right now. She's just feeling the vibes in the room. And you've had one hell of a life journey.
I have.
And ups, downs, sideways, twists. People have been following it on from back when you were on the radio to when you were with us doing your Spilt Milk show, your Second Chance Sundays. Now you're in Vegas, and I think most people who see your face and hear your voice are thinking like, what's happened to him for the last few years? So like kind of walk us through, like you were here, it was about 3 years ago before you moved out to Vegas. What happened in your life that made you want to go there, or told you needed to go, or what was the big anchor that made that change from, okay, I'm getting out of Mojave County and I'm going to take a different direction and I'm going to Las Vegas?
Gotcha. Well, so actually, if I back up quite a bit, I remember, so before I even got here, I was living on a chair in a trailer park. Right?
There you go.
That's where I was. And I was surrounded by these people, man, that were just walking around me and acting like it was cool I was living in this chair. And just to say, like after Nicole had died, it's hard to invest in something I don't see a future in, right? And that's how I had this Saturn truck that I never cleaned, and people used to give me grief over it all the time. They're like, why don't you ever clean your truck? I was like, because I don't know if it's going to make it to tomorrow, you know?
That's true.
So why would I invest any time in it, right? I felt like that about my life. So I had destroyed everything, and you know, you'd known me during that period of time.
Yeah.
It's where I ended up on this chair. Then I come here, and I'm at, I go to a rehab facility with Southwest Behavioral. And I'm there for a little bit of time, and I think it was like 36 days or something like that. Then I end up in a sober living house out here called the ECRC, a great group of people. And everywhere I went, I was like blessed to have all these amazing people in my life, right? Like for every bit of it. And so everyone was very supportive, and I had this vibe about me that I wanted to change things. Well, in the midst of all that, I met this lovely lady named Tessa, and I met her at the sober living house, who was a co-ed sober living. And she's a very pretty lady. And
that's dangerous, co-ed. And that's like the dorms in college. Yeah, co-ed dorms. It was always interesting things happening.
Yeah, definitely interesting things happened for sure.
Yeah.
So me and Tessa got to know each other very well. She ended up going back to Las Vegas. Right. So fast forward, some things have happened, and this is when I was working out here with you. I was doing the Spilt Milk show, and I was living with some friends of mine from the program that I go to, and Tessa gave me a call one day, and she was having some problems, and she asked if I would like to come out there, and I did. Fast forward a few months, all of a sudden she's pregnant, right? She goes back out to Vegas, and I stay here. Well, you know, being out here and not having any sort of education, right, and no real skill set other than being able to BS with the best of them, right?
Right.
I wasn't bringing in the money I thought I would need to have a kid.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to get support sometimes. So, like people out there, and if you're a single parent especially, you need to get into the government programs, right? You have to get into the government housing. You have to get food stamps. You have to do all and bob and weave through all this stuff in order to get the support that you're supposed to get for a kid. But the problem is that this kid was born in Nevada.
Right.
My name wasn't on the birth certificate. I wasn't even told she had the kid until after the fact, right? So, and I was waiting to get all the blood tests done to prove that she was mine and stuff. So that happened, and all of a sudden I have this beautiful baby girl. Greatest gift I ever had in my whole life, right? I've never felt so much love than in that moment. I remember I have a guy that I work with in my spiritual side, and he said, if you ever want to see God, look into a child, right? And all a child sees in you is God, right? And because they still have that connection. And I remember seeing that, and this is what I want out of life, right? I want to be the best dad I could possibly be. So I had, again, great people in my life. I went from being an oil change guy over at the Swanee dealership to working at a clinic with a friend of mine. Again, great group of people. These ladies, my daughter would get sick. She couldn't go to daycare, so they'd watch her for me. But, you know, you just don't make any money.
Right.
Just don't make any money. So I ended up living with this girl for a little while. We broke up. That girl was great. She taught me how to be a dad, right? When I first moved in with her, I was about to get this baby, and I have no idea what to do, right?
Yeah,
I have no idea.
That's a lot. Overwhelming.
Yeah, and I just started dating her.
Yeah.
Right? And she's like, bring this kid
That's
over.
cool.
Move her on in, you know? So we move her in, and me and...
It's a 2-for deal.
Yeah, and we're living there, and she teaches me how to be a dad because she's already a mom.
Yeah.
And so it was very amazing, but our relationship didn't last. And so a mutual decision, we broke up. I ended up moving with another lady, not dating her, just a roommate situation. and then I got COVID. And that specific person said, well, I don't know where you're going to go. You got to go somewhere. And I was like, where am I supposed to go with the newborn kid?
Right.
Well, we both have COVID. Like, where am I supposed to go? Right.
Yeah.
At that point in time, I realized that I just have nothing here. Right.
Jeez,
I don't have anything. I have no way to support me and her. Right. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. And if I'm not even making it through my paycheck, I have to rely on my government support. So Brooklyn, my daughter, her great aunt and uncle said, hey, I don't know what you're going to do out here, but if you want to come out to Vegas, you can do that. Meanwhile, the courts are telling me that I have to come out to Vegas every weekend for 2 hours.
Ooh.
Right, to visit, so her and her mom can visit. But that's a lot.
It's a lot. To drive up, 2 hours back.
And I'm not making any money, right? So because I'm not making any money, it's a lot for me to drive back and forth.
Yeah.
To have Brooklyn meet up with Tessa. So they say, well, you know what? We have an apartment attached to our house. If you want, you can live in that apartment.
Cool.
Bro, I go to this house and it is gigantic, right?
Yeah.
This house is huge. Even the apartment, the bedroom I was living in was bigger than my entire apartment here.
Oh my God.
Right? There was marble showers.
Wow.
Right? And these people just love my daughter to pieces.
That's awesome.
I couldn't ask for a better situation.
Yeah.
I get up there and I'm just full of life, ready to take on Vegas. That beautiful Saturn that I had takes a total crap, dude.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, but luckily the people that were there, they helped front me the money to have it fixed. They let me borrow their truck so I can get back and forth to work. But when I first get there, I'm taking Brooklyn to visit her mom. And I'm like, I'm going to go hit this place, Triangle Club, right? Which is an AA club. And I go up there and there's this guy working the diner area. And he says, we meet, we talk for a little while. He's like, hey, I got a job that'll change your life. And I said, yeah. He's like, do you want it? And I said, sure, I'll take it. Yeah, it was my second day in Vegas. And that job, I ended up making more money than I've ever made before in my life.
Wow.
I started making $2,000 a week.
Yeah.
Right? I was just like, this is the stuff, man.
Yeah.
And so my life's kind of built up from there,
Yeah.
But now I've gotten into sales, right? Me and my daughter live in the suburbs, right, in Vegas, which is really nice. I was talking to her mom, and her mom's like, I was like, what? We live in Vegas. She's like, you don't live in Vegas. And I was like, where do you think we live? And she's like, you live in the suburbs.
Yeah.
And I was like, I do live in the suburbs.
Yeah, exactly.
I've lived in the suburbs before.
Right.
So, we have our own house out there. I got a brand new car. It's pretty nice, man.
Yeah.
Life has definitely changed.
And during the way, I remember you got certified multiple times in different parts of being able to help other people. Like, so when you were still in Kingman, you started getting like these certifications to, I can't remember what it was called, but that way you could teach actually at like behavioral, Southwest.
Peer support.
That's what it was, peer support specialist. Yeah, okay.
I became a peer support specialist, and I did work for Mojave Mental Health.
Oh, that's right, okay.
Yeah, a great group of people. I met an amazing person that taught me how to do it, and I can't remember her name at the time, so I feel super guilty. But she helped me become a behavioral help a peer support specialist. But it's hard, man. That's a very hard job. I want to salute anyone that does it because there's a lot of people that come in there that do not want help.
Right.
They just want the resources of the place. Right. And I wasn't very good at that, that part of it. Now, I have my programs that I go to, like the anonymous programs, and then I get to actually help people.
Yeah.
I have people that I work with now that I'm walking them through the program and helping them find a solution in their lives.
Yeah.
But it was all about learning and step by step that this life is bigger than...
Yeah, we are casual on our show. We are...
Hi.
Sit wherever you like, find a good spot. You've got chairs. Be careful leaning back. Some of them are locked and some of them are not. And I've had people almost tip over.
Yeah, I did almost tipped over.
Yeah. I always forget to warn people. And so that's been a big part of kind of you growing as this, as a person of helping other people. Not necessarily was a thing that people do. And when you were going through a lot of the turmoil of your life, when you started to find that there were these groups, these NA and AA groups with people that really, truly, unconditionally just wanted to help people, how did that change the way you kind of perceived almost like your place on the planet? Like how did that change things for you? Because I know that, sometimes when you feel like you have your back up against the wall and the world's against you and everything is going in the wrong direction, it's hard for you to ever think that there's actually people out there that are unconditional.
Yeah.
And you saw that with your daughter, and that was something that happened to me, having a child. It was like one of the first times I really felt unconditional love. Which sounds so weird because, you've had relationships and things like that, but for just a child, it's just different. It's like real, true, unconditional love.
Yeah. There's nothing that kid can do that make me not.
That's what I mean.
love
It's
her,
just
right?
a whole different mind. It's a weird thing. So
Yeah.
as you're like going forward in your life, and you found sales, which is great because it makes you money. How are you like taking that unconditional side of like helping people and growing that? So you mentioned a little bit of some stuff that you're working on, but like, yeah, how is that kind of a thing that you're now targeting?
So, and that's actually a really good question. There's a lot to it, man. But when I go into the anonymous programs, the first thing when I walked in there, now mind you, prior I was living on a chair in a trailer park, right? So when I'm walking up this alleyway, and actually my sister who's here, she offered to give me a hotel room the night I decided to get clean, and so I'm walking up. Or walking down London Bridge Road, right, in Lake Havasu, which is in the middle of nowhere, from Desert Hills. And I'm walking down that road, and she calls me, she asks if I want a room. I don't even remember how we got on the conversation, but I said, yes, I would. And so she gets me a room, and the first thing I do is I start calling my friends to come over and party, right? But nobody comes over because obviously I have no money, and the only thing I have is a room. Not exactly, the greatest guy. But the next day I go to call my mom, and she doesn't answer her phone for her birthday. It just devastated me. I thought the person that was supposed to love me unconditionally could not bear to do it anymore, right? What kind of person have I become? And in our programs, it's called rock bottom. I've also recently heard it's called when you become hopeless, right? Like there's no hope for me anymore. I'm just done. Like this is it. My life is very uncomfortable, and I can't find a way out. So I decide from that point in time I'm never going to use again. So that was my first clean day, and it was on my mom's birthday on April 29th, right? So I start walking up. I think it's Swanson.
5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
5 years ago. I started walking up Swanson, and there's these three people standing out by the bowling alley in this 2-story building, and they see me walking up. And I remember telling people, nobody could tell I was on drugs, right? But I'm walking up the street, and these people go, hey, what are you doing? You want to come in here? And I go, sure, what are we doing? And they're like, why don't you just come with us? And I'm like, all right, I follow them in, and there's a bunch of old men sitting around a table, and there's a bunch of coffee. And I was like, is this an AA meeting? Wow. And they're like, yeah, it is. And I was like, yeah, well, let's do this. And I stayed for half cigarettes and coffee, dude.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, which is crazy because obviously they must have been able to tell from very far away.
Right.
As I get closer to that, this guy probably needs help.
Right.
So,
Wow.
yeah, they invited me in. But this is what I've noticed, right? When I walk in, the very first thing someone asks me is, have you had anything to eat? Do you have a place to stay? Right? Then we go through the meeting. Some other guy walks up to me and goes, have you had anything to eat? Do you have a place to stay? And I said, yeah. There was people that are letting me live on a chair next to their house. That's the kind of people I surrounded myself with.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
People that just don't care.
Right.
They're too busy. They got things going on in their lives. They just don't care. So these people, all they wanted to do was see that I was okay. In fact, so much so that they all chipped in to get me a hotel room for a week while I tried to get into rehab because they wouldn't let me in because I'm not an intravenous user. So they chipped in for a week. The Lutheran Church chipped in for a week. My mom bought me a week. Everybody's trying to get me into this rehab. I finally got in there. But the psychic change that happens for me is just I want to feel happiness, right? That's all I want. I want to stop being so uncomfortable all the time. Like everywhere I go, I'm uncomfortable. The world moves too slow. Nothing's the way I want it to be. Nobody's the way I want them to be. Like it's just very uncomfortable. So I listened to a guy named Alan Watts. Right? Have you ever heard of Alan Watts? He's a philosopher from the 70s, real hippy-dippy kind of guy.
Okay.
But in it, he talks about the world being a happening. And I remember listening to him and thinking, there is no good or bad, there just is. And so when I was walking behind that behavioral health place I was working at, one of the big key moments for me as I was walking, I was feeling the wind blow through me and hit the plants, right? And realizing I was having an effect, right, on the plants just by merely being in the room. Right? So the plants were growing to the beat of my step, right? As I was walking through. And it's not literally, but it means that they're not stopping just because I'm there, right? Everything's just happening as I'm walking through. And I start to feel really connected to this world.
Wow.
And then I start looking for a God of my understanding. And it took me a while, man. But I thought to myself, this is going to sound crazy, right? But if you really want to know where my process was, I thought to myself that a swamp, right? A swamp has a bunch of different mechanics that allow it to become a swamp. Does it know it exists? Probably not, right? It's a swamp. But if you look at the earth, it has a bunch of different mechanics, right, that allow it to exist, right? Does it know it exists? Maybe not. But could the universe as a whole grow knowledge of its own existence? Absolutely, right? Absolutely. Yeah. So we did, right? So why couldn't the universe? So that's why I started to find this concept of God. Once I found that, I realized that this universe, we're all a part of it. Right, the plants are growing to the beat of my steps, so I'm connected to it. And then everything just kind of grew from there. Then I started to realize that the world's so much bigger than me. How do I connect to it? So much so that I find joy just merely being in it. Right, and I start to learn that through all these programs, right? Because there's a lot of different things I'm going to learn, like the phrase "let go and let God." And if you're religious, that means just let go and let God, and God will take care of it. But for me, I couldn't grab onto that. Like I don't. People would be like, "Oh, I want to thank God blessed me with a couch." I'd be like, "Yeah, but who gave it to you?"
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I get it that God bless you, but who gave it to you? You don't even mention them, right?
Yeah.
But let go and let God. What it actually is like I practice my spiritual principles no matter the circumstance or consequence, right? I let what I believe my God would expect of me, and I do that regardless of what I think my outcome is going to look like.
Yeah.
Right? Those principles, right? God is everything because I'm a pantheist, so that's what I believe. I believe that if I let go and I let God and I practice my principles no matter what, then the world that I'm very much connected to will work for me, right? And so that's kind of the process. If I was going to break it down in 3 things, that's it, right? And so that's how I live the whole rest of my life, wanting to help people and seeing people want to help each other through that connection.
And you had been to an AANA meeting prior to that moment, or had you never done that? Had you never gone to one?
Well, no,
Oh, wow,
actually,
okay.
no, because remember, there was a girl I dated named Ashley.
Yes,
remember her?
right.
She. I think we did a show.
Yep.
I forget what it was called, but
The Second Chance Sundays was before that, right?
it was before that. Yeah, it was with Art Stiers and everybody, and it was a disaster, right? But not because of that.
No, I know,
Art's
I
an amazing guy,
know.
but no, it was a disaster. But
You had
with
gone
her,
to-
I had taken her to a meeting.
Okay.
Way back when, because she said she needed one, and I remember being in there going, "I'm never coming to these things ever
Okay.
again." Right?
Yeah.
But that's because sometimes they're very depressing. I'll be honest. It's not
Yeah.
like it's all joy and
Right.
happiness. Like a lot of the times, I don't find that in one of the programs comparable to the other one. But I found it. It's just like when I'm looking for God, there He is, right? There's a phrase that says, "Look for God everywhere, and that's where you'll find Him." Right. So a lot of this is about having a God in my life and the way I have a connection to it. So. Yeah, the programs. That was the first time I actually took the program seriously because I didn't go to it the first time for me. I didn't care.
Right.
Oh, no, I did. And then I did go again back when I was first working with the Bee in Bullhead. Remember when you got me that? And I decided I was going to go then. But even then, I didn't think I had a problem.
Right.
Right? I was just doing it so I could work with you guys.
Sometimes it's like timing, right? You
Yeah.
weren't ready for it, and so you did not accept the meaning.
No.
So, life is just always like that. Things happen for whatever reason, and I don't believe in divine timing or anything like that. I just think that, you had to get to where you got for that to actually finally make an impact. And so anything you had done prior to that hopelessness, that rock bottom, that birthday, all the stuff that had happened to you at that point and didn't get you to the place where you could finally accept the information that you were receiving from these people. You know, and it was, and understanding, and then it sounds to me like your search for, spirituality is part of that unconditional side of what we're talking about. Like you finally found something that was unconditional. God doesn't want anything in return.
No.
Or the spirit or this power, it's just is, and it's everywhere. And so that's an interesting part of kind of like life. I think that we go through life with so many conditions. Everything from your employer to your friends that do things to help you because they expect to call on you one day and get something in return. And that having a family definitely changes that. Hitting hopelessness and rock bottom, I think, changes that when you start realizing, like, your mom has been unconditional the entire time, and you didn't really realize that, I don't think, up until that moment. Until
you have your kid of your own, and,
Yeah.
I know. I feel hopeless when I'm trying to potty train right now, I'll be honest with you. Right?
Yeah.
I've hit a rock bottom on that. I'm just like, I don't get it, lady. Like, you know what it is, just go use it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm in that process right now. But actually, a funny story. So I used to go to those meetings way back when I was doing it to try to work with you guys.
Yeah.
And I would go in there and I wouldn't be drinking, but I'd be high on all kinds of drugs, right?
Yeah.
And I'd go in there and I'd be sweating, dude. In a cold room in Bullhead in the middle
Yeah,
of winter,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Trying to talk to these people about how I'm going to stay sober today.
Yeah.
Which I was. I
Right.
was just high as shit in
Right.
the process.
Yeah.
But as I was doing, I was trying to also hit on that girl that worked with Second Chance Sundays. I forget her name. But,
Yeah. I don't know.
yeah, she had worked with us on, well, she mostly worked with Art after the fact, but she was on the Experience show with the three of us. It was the three of
Ashley,
us.
right?
Ashley, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was trying to hit on Ashley all the time.
Yes.
She was like 80,
Yeah, blonde.
But then some dude made up a bunch of stuff about me, about some things I had never done about me, and it made me look like a very bad person. But nevertheless, I was still using, so it didn't matter.
Right.
And I was still in
Yeah.
the process of getting high. And that's another reason why I didn't see the program for what it was, because I was spiritually shut down.
Yeah.
Right? That's what drugs do. They just kind of lock you out of a world. They allow me to fast forward through it. Like, I can escape huge portions of my life just by staying high and drunk.
Right.
Right? So I don't have to live in those moments at all.
Yeah. Which is that what you found, like, through everything that you've gone through, is that pretty much the reason why using exists, in a sense, whereas people that are just trying to escape reality. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty much the answer to that, is that they just, for whatever reason, their life isn't at a place where they want to acknowledge it's real. And they would rather make this falsehood of this high feeling so that they don't have to deal with the reality of what they're living in.
Well, I think it's a lot of it is we're taught now, take care of yourself, worry about yourself, do things for yourself, make sure you're happy, buy yourself nice things, live in nice houses, right?
Yeah.
All this stuff, you. So when you're not completely giving yourself stuff, you start to get depressed, right? And you just want that good feeling back. So I want out of the rat race, and the only way to do that is because I can't stop working.
Right. Yeah.
I probably have a job that I don't get paid very much in, so that's a little depressing, right? So I'm going to drink at night so I forget about all that, and I get to relieve myself of the issue of having to be conscious of the life I've built for myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's about not being grateful for the things that you have because you always want more.
Yeah.
Right? And even when you do get more and you get excited and you go out and drink because it's a time to celebrate.
Yeah, celebrate, sadness, happiness, like there's always a reason.
Yeah. I'm not happy long enough.
Right.
So let me extend that a little bit by getting shit-faced, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so that's always, I think a lot of the times it's just wanting to not be you, wanting to not live in the situation. And I was talking to a friend of mine at the job I just recently left. We were walking around the way and he goes, I got to give it to you, man. People that takes life head on no matter what, because I have to stay sober.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't really have a choice because I know if I start drinking, I don't like to stop. And if I start using, I don't like to stop. So I just don't.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't have that little bit of an escape. And for
Right.
some people, it's okay, man. You can have a couple drinks on a weekend. Like
Right.
you're one of those guys, right? Like,
Right.
I've seen you have a good time, you know?
Yeah,
But,
sometimes I have a hard time turning it down a little bit.
Yeah, but it's only
sure.
for the night,
Right,
right?
right.
Or for me, it can extend to months. So
Yeah.
I'm just one of those people that will never be able to use or drink again. So any
Yeah.
situation, I gotta learn how to cope with it.
Yeah.
Right out the gate without trying to find a way out.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's what these programs do. They've given me that opportunity.
Yeah. Have you had a moment in the last 5 years that you felt weak, like where was there ever a moment where you had to call a sponsor or you had to go to a meeting or you had to remind yourself?
Oh yeah, all kinds.
So that happens all the time. Then.
All the
Even when
time,
you're,
dude.
because like when people listen to you, you know, you're very inspirational sounding. I don't know. I mean, if you're getting that.
Oh, yeah.
Every time he talks, including the time then you were, I believe, 2 years sober when I went, and I believe you were there, and I went to your meeting.
Oh, yeah.
And people are in awe when you talk because the way you could tell the story and the journey so well.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, I think, important people know that you struggle too. Every day is a new day where something can test your ability and your resilience to stay sober. It can test it, and that's important for people to know. So you brought a friend from Vegas.
I did. I brought Adam.
So what's your kind of story? You said you were there for a long time though in Vegas. You've lived there.
I've lived in Vegas for a long time, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much, I moved from South Carolina to Vegas at a young age. It was probably like 96.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even know. I was like maybe second grade.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
So you're pretty much a Vegas guy.
yeah,
You've been there.
yeah, I'm basically Vegas, vegan.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in my addiction spiraled out of control at a very early age, you know. So I don't have like how Kevin was talking about, like how you build your life up and then you have all these things and then you easily tear it down. Like I didn't have all that build up. I was just using like high school, a dropout, and my addiction spiraled out of control relatively fast. And then I guess over the long run I became addicted to the chaos. So I just dwelled in that state for 20 years. And I'm just now getting my life back together since I've been sober, which it's amazing. Like, all the things that Kevin is talking about in these meetings and whatnot, it's very true. Like, a lot of us have a problem with the whole God theory and everything like that. So I can resonate with that. Like, I couldn't wrap my head around certain steps because of the God thing, and that's, I guess it's very common, and so I refer to my higher power as like, my friend shared about it in a meeting. He called it the source.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so you were referring it to as like the universe, and I was like, that's the source, man.
The source, yeah.
So like when you think about it in those kind of aspects, like it's easier to wrap your head around it. Like everything is happening for a reason. And with my days, staying sober, like the days that I gain in it, like it becomes more prevalent to me that it is an actual thing. Like for conversation purposes, I will use the word God, even though it kind of
Yeah.
But
No, I hear you.
Dude, well, ask him about, so how was the program for you for your first year?
I was terrible.
Oh, was it?
It was
He did not get the godlike. Wow,
yeah,
after every bit of it.
Yeah.
They talk about this pink cloud, and I'm like, what pink cloud, bro? Like, did I miss it? Is there like a bus stop that I was supposed to be sitting at that I didn't catch it?
Yeah.
You know, and like, yeah, like day for day living in it, the whole first year was absolutely terrible. Like, you know, I remember like vividly just holding on to my chair so tight. I'm like, and everybody was talking and like, oh, this rainbows and unicorns and all this pretty stuff. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why are you guys so happy? Like, so it was a very distraught place for a while. But but when you get over that hill, though, it's very green on the other side.
Yeah. That's good.
So yeah, I'm glad I stuck around for it, you know, because looking back on it, there is a lot of steps and a lot of progress, you know, not only in my personal life but in my professional life, you know, as well. So like I'm very excited for what the future has to hold for me, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, as long as I stick with this program and whatnot, is keep it working it every single day. And sometimes it's rough. You know, I was talking about the other day, like the whole, like the getting up and the praying every morning and like, you know, talking to another alcoholic and helping another alcoholic, you know, just doing the simple things that I need to do every day to stay sober for that day, you know, and then not really registering it or not, you know what I'm saying? But it's great, dude. My life is amazing.
Yeah. And where'd you meet your girlfriend?
Rehab.
Oh, okay.
I had
I have babies with him. He dates them. You know what I mean? We have a good time in rehab.
Well, you got people that can relate or immediately have something to talk about.
They shun on that. Like you're not supposed to get. You're not supposed to get in a relationship in your first year or anything like that.
Oh, right, yeah.
You know, and she's fresh out of prison. Like she just got out of prison. You know, I just recently got out of prison,
but forced
like,
to be sober. You know.
So like we meet, and then like literally the day, which was the 20th of March, it just passed. And
wow.
She just celebrated 5 years of recovery, and even though we were together, I don't have that much time. I fell off the horse, like 'cause I had a reservation. I didn't think alcohol was a problem, but it's like drugs and alcohol is the solution. It's never the problem, you know.
Right.
So like I have a me problem at the end of the day.
But let me ask you this: so like because you're in a relationship, right, with someone from the program, does it make the relationship better?
Yes, it does. As a matter of fact, it makes it. I feel like it makes it better because like maybe it's just our connection with me and her. Like we have this really strong connection. It's like I don't know how to explain it. It's probably the best relationship I've ever been. It was really rocky at first, but like now it's like I can openly talk to her about certain things. And I don't know if it's because of our relationship, like just who we are as people, you know, but sometimes I do feel like it is the program that helps. Like, you know, I could talk to Kevin or I could talk to another gentleman about my issues and whatnot, and they'll, you know, just saying them out loud, it sounds crazy. So I could bring, it helps, and I could bring that back to her. And like she is also has a problem with addiction, so she understands more. You know, she's more like I'm kind of not there all the time. She's a little bit higher on, I guess, on the intellect.
I get it.
Like, we talked about that. Like, you know, if you go to a therapist and the therapist has never gone through the problems you've gone through, like they can't really help you that much because they can't really truly relate. So it makes sense that you would really find these great connections with people that already are going through the same thing you're going through and have gone through, and so you immediately have that bond.
Yeah, well, and that's one of the things. Like, I'm dating someone from the program as well. I tried to date one person outside the program one time, and I remember she flipped out on me for something, and she's like, "I just can't think about you all the time, and I can't make it always about you." And I was like, "We see each other twice a week. What are you talking about?" Right? So everyone's like, "You can't date people in the program; they're crazy." And then I realized that's the kind of crazy I need in my life. Right? It's a crazy that I'm attracted to.
Right.
But I have dated other people in the program that it didn't work out. But this specific person I'm dating with now, we make sure we pray every night before we go to bed. You know, we make sure we help others. And like, that's the forefront of our mind. So if somebody needs help, we stop what we're doing and we go to it.
Yeah.
Depending on gender, to be honest.
Yeah.
I help guys, she helps girls, and that's it. And there's things I've learned in this program. Like, I don't need to ever have lady friends. Like, I just don't really.
Yeah.
I can have friends. I have enough friends that are guys, and I can be friends with their girlfriends and stuff like as couples friends. But the program has taught me a lot about what I expect out of life and what kind of connections I want to have, right? And that's why I asked him about the girlfriend thing, because I feel like me and Kelsey, because of the fact that we're both programmed, it's like it just makes so many things easier to handle.
So much easier.
Especially the crazy.
Absolutely.
Like, because when you sort of lay out the crazy of one of us, like, you just expect it. So
Oh,
you're like it's
that.
okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, that's important. So where do you see? You're Vegas for life now. You moved there. You feel like you're
I
gonna.
don't know about for life, man. I wanted to move somewhere that's green. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But no, here's the deal
like
with
it there?
Vegas. Is Vegas pays a lot of money,
Right.
Like comparably.
Yeah.
That was the one issue I always had here is finding a job that pays well.
Yeah.
Right. And I go out there and I make a livable wage where I can pay for
Right.
me and my daughter.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong, I have a skill set. It's like I have
Yeah.
the gift of gab, right? So I'm
Yeah.
very good at sales. I naturally just became good at it.
Yeah.
So I'm being offered really good jobs, but because of those jobs, I can afford a house with a car and have my daughter, right?
Right.
So will I ever move to a small town again? Maybe if I retire.
Yeah,
Maybe if
right.
I retire, but or maybe when she gets old enough, because it's a lot nicer here.
Yeah.
People are jerks out there. Like they are not friendly, bro.
Yeah.
They will. Other than the people in the program, I swear to God, even then, right? So it's like, but you go places and they'll cut you off, man. They'll try to run you over. They'll take your stuff. Like it's just like you got to watch yourself all the time while you're out there.
Yeah.
Or comparably to here, if somebody takes your stuff, you might run into them at the store.
Right.
Like, oh, you son of a gun! I remember.
Yeah.
Call the police.
Yeah.
Out there, you'll never see him again.
Right.
So people
It's
can
too
act
big.
however they want to you because you'll never
Right.
see him again.
Yeah.
And
That's so scary.
Yeah, it is super scary,
Yeah.
right? And just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So,
And you all visit him up there, like, yeah. So that's
Yes.
cool.
Yeah, they're coming
You got
back
your mom
with
and
me,
sister
actually.
here. Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. And I gotta say, throughout all the years, I was amazed by the patience you all had with him during the rough times. He always knew he could get a hold of you, and I applaud that. And now it's kind of cool. Now you can kind of see your own way you feel about your daughter. How like no matter what, she can always call you. She can always get a hold of you. You'll always be there to support her. And like you had that during that whole time, which is really nice. Like, and you've been always very close, I think, with your mom and your sister.
yeah.
'Cause I remember, all the way back when I very first met you, you'd always talk about them being there for you, like no matter what. And how hard was it? Not to bring you guys into it too much. How hard was it at the moments of hopelessness for you to not having to say no when you knew he needed help, but you knew that saying no was the help that he needed?
Well, I was gonna he called me from Vegas, and he said, "Mom, come and get me. I'm at that casino."
Oh, railroad. I was stranded there for 3 days, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so
I lost my wallet and my phone.
I drove all the way up there to where he told me to be. Well, he had taken off
Oh my
and went
goodness.
someplace else.
Oh no.
And so I was sitting there and I tried to call him. I tried to, like he said, he lost his phone. I couldn't
Yeah.
get a hold of him. And then he got somebody's phone and he called me. And it was getting dark. And I can't drive too good in the dark. And so I left. And I think he said that I passed him on the highway. He was walking, trying to get to where I was.
Yeah.
And that has happened even in Havasu. He would call me and I would be going and he'd say, Mom! I would just pass by.
On the side of the road.
Yeah.
Don't go by.
Because he walked everywhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
Well, and a part of the story I didn't say is that when she didn't answer the phone on her birthday, she didn't
Yeah.
actually not answer it. She just forgot to pay her phone bill.
Oh.
Right? So it was like a god shot. It was I found that out later 'cause my
right.
sister was yelling at her, saying, "How do you forget to pay your phone bill on your birthday? None of us could call you."
Oh,
and then
no.
it hits me while she's telling her that.
It was meant to happen.
Yeah, like that's why she didn't answer the phone. It went straight to voicemail, right?
crazy.
And it would ring for a second and then go to voicemail. But like when you first don't pay your bill, they
Yeah.
kind of let it work, but
Yeah.
it doesn't work.
Right.
So yeah, that's what had happened, and that's how I ended up with this whole process of me getting sober
It
was
all
all her
triggered
forgetting to
off
pay her
of
phone bill.
that. Isn't that something?
Yeah, and her getting me the hotel room. My
Yeah.
sister's was the rock of our family for such a long time. Like
Yeah.
my brother always relied on her. I think I stayed with you for a few months too, when I was younger. And then so we always relied on her. So it was natural for me to go to her for the help.
Yeah.
But my mom lived with her at the same time, so it was just go to them for everything.
Right. Yeah.
Well, my older brother, just in case he listens to this, he helped a lot.
Yeah.
He's more of a financial person too, that he helped, because when he was doing what he was doing, I didn't even know he was, because that was an ugly lifestyle. I mean,
Yeah.
ugly house, ugly,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't see cute little girl, but not Brooklyn and anyways.
Yeah.
He started kind of going to Desert Hills and all this kind of stuff, and he would have all his clothes in her car. And I would get so upset because there was stuff I had to deal with her, and then I had to deal with him.
Yeah.
And it was like, this has to stop. So if I have girls, that you have to try to keep away from.
Right.
'Cause, you got to watch your kids.
Yeah.
So I was asking him, would you go to rehab? And when he said he was ready, he meant it.
Yeah.
So we called, we got him hooked up, and my brother, our brother, I should say, his son, he financially helped with that,
Yeah.
and he okayed with it. Now I did tell him he was going to a different direction. I mean, I didn't tell him he was going to a different direction, and because he said he wanted to Bullhead, isn't that what
Yeah,
he said?
Bullhead's where I wanted to end up.
okay.
Thankfully, I ended up here though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he goes, I want to go to Bullhead.
Because you just don't know anybody. You didn't have the connections here.
Yeah.
That helps
I
to kind of
didn't care.
remove yourself from all the people that you had in your life prior.
I said, you're going to Bullhead? And he's going, Shelly, I'm this age, I know where
I know where I'm going. I can see. I can look out the windows and figure out where I'm at.
Yeah.
That's
And
funny.
he goes, I'm going on. And,
Yeah.
I was so mad. I was
so I
so
called
mad.
real quick. So I had to call real quick and have it switched.
Oh yeah.
And so off he went, Bullhead he went.
Yeah.
And like you said, your God, he was able to make it happen, because to be able to call one, because I'm on the phone and I'm trying to switch it over, and you really can't do it, but
Yeah.
it went through. I said, look, I can get you an extra $500 if you just move it over, because I'm thinking maybe money would talk.
Yeah.
But I didn't have to. I didn't have to say that. I mean, I said it, but I didn't have to give it to him.
Yeah.
He said, no, we'll do it. So then I called back, and he ended up. No, I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. So then he ended up in Kingman. But
Yeah.
I was gonna.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
take
well, I
the
ended
one
up here,
in Phoenix,
so-
Yeah.
But
Oh, that's right. She tried to send me to all men's rehab in Phoenix, and I was like, I'm not going to an all
that
men's
was-
rehab. You're not putting me back in county for no reason. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
So I fought that one. And this
He's the
church-
co-ed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm a co-ed rehab guy. Yeah.
He's like,
Right?
it's got to be nice scenery, but I'm not gonna
Yeah,
stay.
dude, I swear to God, though.
Yeah.
I didn't hear the message from dudes, right? Because I'm my biggest fan. I'm the biggest fan of my mom, right?
Yeah.
So I would hear the message better from ladies.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and so that's what I said. I look back on it now, though, and the people that are like, I don't go to men's meetings. I only go to, and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
what scumbags. dude.
Yeah.
I was that scumbag.
Now you
for
get
sure.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's
I'm
crazy.
really proud of him. I'm
Yeah.
really amazed.
Yeah.
It's funny how he got clean, and then he finds out he has a child, and
Yeah.
it just
Yeah, everything.
I'm telling you, he's the best father I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
He's the best. He's the best.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in, I've worked at a church for 20 something years, and I'm just saying, Pastor Dan was a wonderful father, wonderful man. And I've been around, my dad was cool, and then other people.
My dad was cool. Yeah.
He was chill.
Yeah.
He's the best father.
Yeah,
I could
we
ever
all
imagine.
live vicariously through your Facebook page, so we see your pictures. And
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah, you can tell. I mean, and that's something that, again, it's timing. Life just kind of hit you at a certain time that you were ready for that. Now, if you had had a kid 5 years before that, who knows? 3 years.
Oh, dude.
You know what I mean? Like,
You don't know.
Things just happen.
But you
the way
just
they
don't
do.
understand. Like people now that don't have kids. Like I remember
I
getting
know
older,
that.
thinking I wasn't gonna have one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I know. You're in the exact same boat. That's why I
Yeah.
can say it to you, especially, and you feel everything I'm saying.
Yeah.
You don't know, and then when you have a kid, you're
Yeah.
like, you're an idiot. Don't spend any of your life without a kid. Go figure it out.
Yeah.
Go accidentally get someone pregnant like I did.
Right, do something.
Right, just
Yeah.
get in there.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Just
don't
get
know.
in there.
Yeah.
It really does. It gave me a feeling of purpose that I never really felt like I had. Like, and so.
Dude, ever.
It's like
It's the
hard to
craziest
explain
feeling.
unless you experience it. Yeah, you just go through life kind of just like you feel like you're on a rat race deal, and like for me it was just work. Just constantly working, grinding. But what you just acquire things and stuff,
Yeah.
and what you do is you also sacrifice time, so you don't have time to do anything else, and you just don't ever get that feeling of fulfillment or purpose at all. And then all of a sudden, the right thing happens, and you have this baby who's unconditional, and it's like, this is what I've been doing all this for this whole time. I just didn't realize it.
Yeah.
And like now I actually have a real purpose, and I can set goals, like life goals, not money goals or anything like that. You all of a sudden have real goals of life. It's just very different. I know I watched a thing on Seth Rogen the other day, and it just drove me nuts because not only can I not stand his voice, but him and his wife just don't want kids, and it's perfectly fine. People don't all need to have kids. I don't want to put that out there. Everybody needs to have kids if they feel this. But he just was
But
like,
they do.
but he was like, I've been around kids, plenty of kids all the time. Me and my wife, we've been around kids all of our lives, and you know what? We don't need them. We don't want them. We're never gonna have them. Like, it's just not something that we want to do. We love being able to go on vacation. It reminded me of one of those movies, you know, where they're like the married couple with no kids, and all of the other people have kids, and they're the ones that are going to on vacations during the holidays and like doing all these things. But yeah, it was an eye-opening thing.
Well, here's the deal: is I have real bad ADHD, right? So everything I go to, and I was talking to my girlfriend about this. If we go there, I got to measure it out to the 15 minutes I'm going to be interested in whatever we're looking at.
That's funny.
To me having to go do something else.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So how much do I really want to be there?
Yeah.
So none of this stuff really matters to me, and I gave it all up.
Yeah.
Right. When Nicole died, I gave it all up. Like I was living on. I didn't care. I could be living in trap houses. None of this stuff mattered. I gave up the house, the cars, everything, the career, all of it. It just didn't matter.
Right.
But for her. This whole world matters, right? Every bit of it. I remember thinking about it and saying, I would change the world for you if I could. And I will do my best to create a world for her. One thing that has helped me for a long time is the butterfly effect, right? The butterfly effect says anything I do changes the future, which really what it's saying is everything I do changes the world.
Right.
Right?
True.
Which means that if I want to build a world for her, I got to make sure that my actions are the type of actions that would build a suitable world.
Yeah.
So, but I feel that way because of the fact I have a 3-year-old.
Yep.
Right? Before, I could literally care less. People could act like however they wanted.
Yeah.
People could prostitute themselves. People could sell drugs.
Yeah.
People could steal. It's part of life. It's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
happens.
yeah.
That's not the kind of life that's not the kind of world I want to introduce a 3-year-old to.
Right. Yeah,
Right?
you never really cared about being a contributor to society.
Not
You
even
didn't
a
give
little
crap.
bit. Not even a little.
Now you're like, well, wait a second. If I can contribute in a positive way, I'll make a better life for her.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it for her instead of just about for you.
Yeah, that's why when people don't have kids and you see me like, I don't know, man. How much of an investment do you really have in this kind of life that we have here?
Yeah.
But so it's true though. And I am a huge proponent and I don't hide it. There's a couple of things I don't hide. One, if you don't have a God, I tell people usually figure that out. Right?
Yeah.
Like I don't care what you got to do. If you find a connection, your life will get better.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. There's this religion called the Baha'i. I think it's Baha'i, something like that. But it believes every religion's right. There's this.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all the same God, it's just different perspectives.
Yeah, yeah.
But even that's a simple way of saying, all right, there is one, right? 'Cause
Right,
there's
exactly.
no book to it or anything. It's just the concept of it.
Yeah, I like that concept. That actually makes sense because then it helps people understand that you don't need to have conflicts between them.
Yeah. Well, so my sister came home one day. I'll tell you this quick story. I don't know how much time we really
Yeah,
have.
as much time as we want.
So my sister comes home one day, me and my brother in the living room, and we're all adults at this time. So we're staying at my sister's house on a vacation. And she comes in and we're like, where have you been? It's like first thing in the morning. I didn't even know you were gone, you know? And so she comes barely and she's like, well, my mom took me to breakfast. I remember sitting there thinking, Shelly, we all have the same mom. You just be like, mom took me to breakfast.
Yeah.
Right? But her mom did take her to breakfast. And the reason I say that is because the reason she took her is because that's where my sister would sit and listen, right? That's where she could get a little
Time with
insight into her life and get to know her and you know, anything she needs to teach her, whatever, right? That's how I saw it. And then I thought, well, where does she take me and where does she take my brother? So what kind of mom is she for each of us, right? When I relieved myself of the responsibility of one mom, right? It could be a different version of her for all of us. I thought of the same thing for God.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
So God could talk to you the way you need to hear him for you to believe in him.
Right.
So there's going to be a bunch of different religions. Of
course.
Right? Because different parts of the world need to hear different things.
Yeah, that makes
Right?
sense.
So again, I didn't have to worry about it anymore. It relieved me
Right.
of all responsibility of having to find a religion anymore. Now all I got to do is build a relationship with my creator, right? And I do.
Yeah.
So that
I like
made it a
that
lot simpler.
perspective. That's a cool way to put it, and it makes so much sense.
I was just going to say one thing.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
No, yeah.
I know you guys were talking about it, the place he was staying, or the meetings he was going to.
Mm-hmm.
I did remember that when I was living in Prescott Valley, I'd come and visit him and talk to him once in a while. But there was a point where I kind of thought about that he was so nervous about moving from his because he came in to get better, and he felt safe here,
Yeah.
and he knew he wasn't gonna fall.
Right.
And so he was so scared to leave that with his baby.
Yeah.
And just trust himself to go somewhere to another house that really he doesn't really know anybody, and still stay sober and fight for a new. I mean, you can tell how much he loves his daughter.
Yeah.
And to start a future with,
Yeah.
with him and his daughter. And I was just wondering if maybe you could talk about how hard that was.
Yeah, because I would think that would
That's
actually be
big.
one of the things that you. I mean, I don't know, and you can answer that. Is that one of the things in your program where it's like you don't want someone to make a big drastic life change in the beginning because maybe that causes that potential to fall off, and you did it yourself because you moved and you
Yeah,
started.
but I already had 2 years.
So you had
2 years
enough.
on my belt. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But no, I
That's
moved.
true, too.
I moved from Bullhead to Havasu to go to live with them for a little while. But then I knew people in Havasu, right? So I could party with. So then I was going to go back to Bullhead, but I didn't. I went to Kingman. It's
Yeah.
like they have this thing called people, places, and things, right? You change your people, places, and things.
Yeah.
Doesn't always mean you're going to stay sober, right?
Right.
Usually, because everywhere you go, you bring you with you.
Right. Yeah. Good
Right.
point.
So that's the issue. But I thought it would worked out very well to change everything.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Because I didn't have I couldn't rely on any of those old people. Because
Right.
trust and believe, some of those old girls I used to fool around with, when I was sitting lonely at the rehab, guess who I was trying to get a hold of, right? See if they
Yeah.
don't mind road tripping up to K-Town.
Right.
Right, but I never actually invited them up. But I always thought about it, right? And I'd
Yeah.
chat them up a little bit, and then that
Yeah.
would be the end of it. Because again, I wanted to stay clean, so I'd
Yeah.
hear their stories and the people they're hanging out with. I'm
You're
like,
like,
maybe I don't need to know you so much.
Yeah.
But for you didn't change your people, places, and things, right?
You've been there for so long that.
Well, I got a spoonful of it though. Like I went to prison for about 3 years, and then realized who my friends really were. You know, because when you're in a situation like that, like nobody was. You know, I didn't have any help. I didn't have any money on my books. You know, like the only money that was coming in was from my father. You know, from like Florida. You know,
Yeah.
and it was like maybe $100 or here and there. He was always there for the most part,
Yeah.
but it wasn't a lot. You know, like
Yeah.
all my buddies are like, "I'm gonna take care of you. Don't worry about it." You know. No phone call, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it was,
They're like,
it was
he's
terrible.
gone.
Yeah, girlfriends, nothing. It was just a bad deal.
Yeah.
So, but the whole
It's a long time. 3
people,
years. That's a lot of
as
introspection.
far as the people go, like I cut everybody out. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even have Facebook.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the bigger benefits of being in a city like that, because I can move to a different part of the town and never see those people again.
That's true too. Yeah.
Right here,
Still-
it's impossible.
Yeah.
Like, or in Lake Havasu, I'm gonna run into somebody
And were the
eventually.
people? So yours was drinking primarily.
Mine?
Yeah.
No,
Your issues are other
heroin,
stuff.
meth and heroin.
So like did you move where you lived?
You mumbled out heroin. I was like, yeah, meth and heroin.
It wasn't like a big deal, but like if it was there, I'd do it.
Do
all
you
the
run
time.
into those people ever? Do you see them?
Oh,
do you
dude,
do they try to get a hold? Do you have to change your phone number and all that stuff?
Yeah, my numbers, because you live in the lifestyle, like my
Yeah.
number changes constantly.
Oh,
like,
right,
it's never
right.
really like, like you'd have to, go out of your way to find it. But like I have run into several people and they look terrible, dude.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, bro, and their story never changed. Like it's
Right.
been 3 years since I seen you last, firstly out of prison, and they're still riding a bike. They're still, like full grown people. You
ever try to feel like you should try to help them, and have you tried?
No, it
And
made
you're
me
like,
feel
"Ah."
extremely uncomfortable.
Right.
To be frankly honest, like
Yeah.
they're all like Kevin was saying, they're all sweating,
So they're just
and they're
not
like
ready.
looking, their eyes
Yeah.
are kind of darting around. I'm like, was that me?
Right.
And it's like, are you serious? Like,
Yeah.
and I'd have like family with me or something like that,
Yeah.
and like I'm
You're
like,
that's your old friend. Yeah.
they just walk. They don't even say anything. They just keep walking, and then I'm talking to this guy, and I'm like, I'm waiting for him to hit me up for money or something like that.
Right.
But but a matter of fact, I have run into a couple of people in recovery from before I went to prison.
Okay.
Like they kind of fell off, and I didn't stop seeing them around, and then turns to find out that they've been sober, that they got
Wow.
sober, and
That's
they're
why
like,
you didn't see 'em,
and
yeah.
so I ain't seen them, and then I seen them in the program, and
That's
it's
good.
crazy. It's great to.
Yeah.
Because when you see those type of people in the meeting, like when you share, like you're sharing, your story,
Yeah.
and they're hearing it, so they have their own idea on what had happened in this, in the same
Yeah.
story. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, Vegas has 800 meetings a week.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
it's
is
a lot.
big. Yeah.
Vegas has it's like one of the biggest meccas.
Yeah.
People come from all over the place, from all over the U.S. and all over the world, and
Almost do like a tour of the meetings. Like,
Yeah,
just
'cause there's
hey,
so
we're gonna hit
many.
up so many. Yeah, you hear so many perspectives and walks of life, and wow, what is the craziest story you've heard that you were just like, holy cow, like?
I don't want to tell. They're not the crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how the anonymous
Because
part
some,
works.
I just heard one a couple of days ago that was just like, oh my god, that makes me sick to my stomach. Like I wish I would never have heard it. I was like, why do you share that? That's terrible.
Oh, okay,
You
yeah.
know? But no, I haven't really heard anything super crazy. It's like it's all the same story from everyone.
yeah.
Some people have killed people.
Yeah.
Like hit and runs. There's people that you'll see in the meetings and they're there because they just got into an accident while drinking and killed somebody. And they're looking at a long time in prison, so they're coming to meetings trying to get a lighter sentence.
Right, right.
I've seen people like that, and you've seen people that have lost their kids or their kids. One girl, her daughter died. Actually, I did a video with her, and she's very spiritual now. And but we meet all walks of life with all kinds of terrible stories. Like,
Yeah.
and but you don't really share that. Like, that's not what
Right.
it's for.
Right.
The whole idea of these programs is for experience, strength, and hope.
Yeah.
Right? So the idea is that I have all these resentments and regrets, and I turn them into my experiences, right?
Yeah.
Through practicing principles and things like that. And then through those experiences, I find strength, and through that strength, I pass hope on to the next person, right? So I don't ever go back and I say, oh, remember all these. I mean, some people do war stories, and you're like, oh my God, here we go.
Right, yeah.
You're the coolest, baddest mother ever
Yeah,
to
yeah,
live,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So you don't really want to hear that kind of stuff.
Right.
There's speaker meetings where you hear some crazy things, where a guy gets up there and shares a story. And again, we can't come out here and tell you their stories.
Right, for sure.
So, but there are some good stories sometimes out there and good lessons to have learned. And
Yeah.
there's people that have known people like Bill W. was the guy that started all this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And a guy that runs one of the meetings out there worked with one of Bill W.'s sponsees.
Oh, how
Right?
crazy.
And he has this big meeting out in LA that's huge.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's things like that. So it's kind
Yeah.
of cool. It's kind of cool to see this network. Like my sponsorship line has presidents and all kinds of people in it.
Oh, how
you know?
neat. Yeah, yeah.
Right. So it's like, and it's this line of people. Like you can start tracing them back to all these
Wow.
different people that have sponsored each other in the U.S.
Do you travel around? Have you ever traveled outside the area and like gone to a meeting like in a different state or?
A couple times. I don't really travel that much because ever since
Yeah,
I got on the program, I was
working
either
kid.
super broke or I have my daughter.
Right.
So, but I did go to Reno one time because I was working up there and I found like this 3-hour gap where I could drive down to a meeting. And,
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool, man. It's cool
Yeah.
to see the clubhouses wherever they are. Like,
Yeah.
because everybody has their own. So you get in there and it just has its own vibe. And I was talking about this in Vegas. Like, there's so many clubhouses out there, and they're all in different areas, and it's just like totally different worlds. And
Yeah.
I was driving down, seeing all these people walking, and I was thinking to myself, I get to, just take a glimpse into your life. You have no idea I'm even here, but I get to
Right.
see what your life looks like. 'Cause this is
Yeah.
probably your day-to-day walk.
Yeah.
This is your grocery store. This is your restaurant.
Yeah.
And I get to be a part of all that today, and it's pretty cool.
That is cool. So Lynn, you've been quiet, kind of marking down some notes. So for people who are listening or watching, you've seen Lynn here before. She does body sculpting and mediumship stuff. So she's been kind of running down the mediumship path formally for probably 4 months.
Yeah,
Informally, just kind of not understanding what was happening and hearing things every once in a while about stuff that you thought, who the heck said that? Nobody's
Yeah.
in the room.
Yeah.
So we thought it'd be cool to have you here. You've known of Kevin, or Big K primarily is how you knew him for such a long time because the radio back into, 2002 you said or something like that?
2003 is when I moved back.
2003, so a long time ago. And you wanted, I think, and you actually, which is kind of funny, you brought him up to me saying,
Yeah.
hey, that'd be cool to have him come down for a show. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I reached out because someone who he's lost,
Yeah.
I think, was coming through to me. And I was like, wait, is this for him? Like, normally, Spirit doesn't go out and say, oh, hey, go give this person a message. We don't solicit
Right.
the information.
Yeah.
So if you come to us, we'll give you the message. But we're not going to go knocking on your door. Hey, by the way, so-and-so is waking me up at night, making me feel this way or that way. Does this resonate with you? So we don't really do that. And actually,
Yeah.
I did reach out to him and I sent, hey, you or something. And then it took him a while because he's not on his Facebook all the time. So it took him a while to respond back. And when he responded back, I said, I ain't saying nothing. So I just kept it to myself.
You don't want to
Yeah.
scare you
I don't
off.
want, well, yeah, and it's not our job to go out and just,
Yeah.
solicit a reading or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to you, I just thought it would be awesome. One, I've
Yeah.
always wanted to meet him, and I've never been able to meet him.
Yeah.
And the fact that she does come around and
Yeah.
she does make me feel certain ways. And like all day today, I think I messaged both of you guys, like I feel like I'm about ready to get married. I'm so nervous. I feel like I'm excited and I have a little bit of anxiousness, that you're about ready to go see your man and stuff
Yeah,
like that. Even though
butterflies type thing.
she can see him all the time, like now he's able to see her per se through what she's going to be talking to me about. So
Yeah.
to me, that's where that whole wedding, we
Yeah.
get to see each other and meet up because that's just how they make me feel.
Yeah.
So for those who are listening, I have no training in mediumship. I never took a class. I never studied on it, nothing. I was doing body sculpting using radio frequency. It's a little wand to like tighten skin and stuff like that. And that's what I was doing. And I heard tell my mama I'm proud of her. And I'm like, the heck? You don't even know this lady. How could you say that? And then I go to the opposite side of her neck a few minutes later and she says it again. And I'm like, what is going on? Just shut up. You don't know this lady. You don't even know if she has a kid or someone who's passed. You don't know. The third time I finally said, okay, fine, I'll say something. The lady goes, that's my daughter. She was murdered in LA. I said, what? I was floored. With that, we talked about it a little bit. Her session was over. She left. She booked an appointment to come back in a couple weeks. She comes back. Here comes Spirit again. I'm like, oh, Lynn, stop acting up. What are you doing? With that, she's saying, isn't my mama beautiful? The way she was laying on my massage table, the lights coming in through the curtain, she did look beautiful. I'm not going to lie. I was like, okay, your daughter's saying, and after the second time, I wasn't saying it the first time. After the second time, I gave in and said what the daughter said. And then the daughter was like, tell her I'm holding her hand. I said, And I didn't give that message until after she paid. She was walking out the door. And I said, oh, by the way, your daughter was holding your hand, your right hand. So with all that, when I get my verification, it's not coming in like I'm no Long Island medium. I'm not, anybody like that. I'm just one that I will hear things. Sometimes I have hearing problems. So it may be but it's a bug. It may be hike, but it's bike. So I still have hearing problems and stuff like that. But for the most part, they're not going to come in and give me initials. They're not going to come in and give me nicknames. I did get a nickname the other day on a client whose mom was in a coma. And she was just letting me know that her mom's about ready to pass. And I knew her mom. So with that, I was able to give her, and I have it all in text message, a big reading. And then I said, you were holding the left hand, the right eye teared. She says, yes. Just the things that I spoke about was validated. And then I said, she has a message for your daughter, but I can't get past the name. I know her name is XYZ, but I'm hearing either but or bug. I can't tell. And she goes, Lynn, she used to call her Bug. And I was floored. So when this happens, it floors me just as much. But I get stuck in my ego, especially sitting here with Kevin. Everyone knows him. Everyone knows him. So for me to say anything, his life's been in the limelight this whole time. So I need to make sure she comes in with some hot fudge sundae, which I mean, that's black and white. I know she's here. This is the things that he can know she's here. So that's what I've been hoping to get from her this whole time. So
I was going to say, one of the things that she had done with me that was my hot fudge moment per se was she mentioned that she's like, so she was bringing up my dad and who had passed, I think, 9 years ago. And she was like, so he wants to say something about that she's wearing his ring. And the other guy that was here during the reading, he's like, oh, you mean her ring? Like, my mom never took off her wedding ring, like, after they got, after he passed. And no, it was actually, she's wearing my dad's ring, and which nobody knew. And I didn't find this out until literally like 6 months ago, that my mom had taken one of my dad's old puzzle rings, put it in a box, brought it here to Arizona, and gave it to me as like an heirloom. And when she was here, she showed me that she was wearing my dad's old wedding band on her finger. Nobody knew that except for literally me, my mom at that, and my wife. And so then when he was like, oh, you mean her ring? She's still wearing her ring. And then Lynn's like, no, he's saying his ring. She's wearing his ring. So that was to me like that. Because, like, I'm a very...
That is pretty specific.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I'm a very analytical, kind of data-driven guy, and grew up with a mother who is a minister after 20-something years. So the whole God talk thing has been going on my entire life, church every Sunday. So when I hear of these things, I always just get skeptical, but that to me really was something where I was like, I can't just ignore that type of connection, So that was my aha moment that, maybe there's more out there that I need to just be more open to.
Yeah.
Instead of like, prove it, right? Draw something.
right? Right.
So
with all this, like I'll get some slack sometime. People say I'm talking to the devil or whatever, or in their religion it says that, you know, don't talk to people who pass. But I'm sorry, they talk to me. I'm not asking for nothing.
Everybody has their own
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah. So that's where I keep having a little bit of struggle with myself, is the slack that I get sometimes. I don't have like all that stuff where I conjure nothing. I am me. I'm sitting here as am, paper and a pen. That's all I do. And I take notes and I just let you know if it resonates with you, it does. And what I'm struggling on today is the fact that I don't want to be wrong. So if I say something and he doesn't resonate with it, then a wall will start building. And then I'm like, oh. So what I'm trying to do is just take notes, and then I'm just going to review the notes that I took. If it resonates, it resonates. But sometimes, like, I did speak to him about a couple things prior, and he was like, yeah, yes. So that made me feel good, because I've been nervous. And she's like a couple weeks, I think she's been hanging out with me, just wanting to come in and talk with him and give him a little bit of message and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, what was that?
My mom goes, is she talking about Nicole? And,
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
my relationship with Kevin is just pretty much a little groupie. I used to just follow him at the neck, request songs, you know, like his post, share his post, you know, just stuff like that. Nothing. I wasn't into their relationship. I wasn't into his life. Just brazen through, giving some love, sharing here and there and stuff like that. So I can tell you what I have written down and what we discussed a little bit earlier. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and speak about the ring. So I'm being shown the ring's being taken off of her finger and put on a pinky finger. So if that doesn't resonate with you right now, maybe later tonight, you'll be sitting at home and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I remember. I put it on my finger and I waited to give it or go home. That's just what I'm being shown.
Yeah.
Last night I heard that he got his little girl. And I was never able last night to figure that out. Like, why is she telling me that about him? And then we found out that we weren't able to have children before, so this is the little girl that you wanted.
And you wanted
Yeah,
a little
so-
girl, not just a child. You wanted a little girl.
I wanted a little girl, yeah. And I was going to name her V originally, was what it was. And so I'd always talked to Nicole about it. And we ended up being actually the first girls' day out, right, for the radio stations. There was part of it, they brought a psychic on, palm reader, right? And so I was the one that got assigned to interview her. So she did a palm reading on me, and she said, you're going to do very well financially, and you're going to have a daughter.
Oh, wow.
I remember looking over at Nicole going, well, I mean, you're going to have to figure something out. You know? And so it obviously did not work out that way. But I remember I always used to talk about a V that was going to be in my life, because I always wanted to name her V.
Yeah.
For V for Vendetta, to be honest with you. That's where I got it
cool.
from. But I always thought it was a
Movie.
cool last name, dude. I was just like, I wanted to call her V. But make a long story a little longer. I didn't get to name my daughter, so
Right.
I just found out what her name was.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, anyways, that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
I've always talked about that. I even talked about that with the girl who's Brooklyn's mom. I said the psychic said I was going to have a daughter someday.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then I ended up having a kid with her, which never would have thought that would have happened either.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
So another thing, as we're sitting here talking, I was just taking notes. She said that she is proud of you. And yes, she does see the good job that you are doing. So I don't know if in your head you were trying to talk with Nicole and be like, do you see what I'm doing? Are you proud? Can you believe I'm doing this? But when she spoke, it was as if she's answering your question. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something that you have done or thought of, but she is proud of you and she does see the good job that you are doing.
cool.
Another thing, and it's funny because you touched base on this after I wrote this. So if we ever go back and review, you'll see that he said it after I wrote this down. So I wrote from her that the death hit you hard, and hold on, my notes get crazy. Okay, so the death hit you hard, even though you knew that it could possibly happen someday. You never ever expected it when it happened. So it hit you so hard and that you didn't know what to do once
Oh
it
yeah,
happened.
like it was literally, she got sick, she wasn't doing well. Then one day she couldn't figure out how to put her pants on. Right, that's how it hit. It just hit. Just one morning, it was over. Like she was no longer there anymore, and it was super shocking. Like I didn't understand what was happening at all, and I never thought she was actually going to pass. Even in the place, it was at the end. Everyone else knew. I just didn't know. So when I was talking to one of the nursing staff, I said, "Well, so what are the odds of her coming out of this?" And then he realized I was her husband, and he goes, "She's not coming out of this." He even laughed.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, he's like, "And who are you?" And I was like, "I'm her husband." And his face just went white because he's like, "Oh my God, I thought you were just, a friend or something like that." So it did hit me hard. Again, it was one of those things. My whole world came crashing down.
Yeah.
Like, she was everything. Like we worked together, we lived together, we spent every single moment
your
together.
rock.
Yeah.
She was your rock. So once she departed, you were just like left in this world like, okay, wait, she handled all this. I don't know how to handle all this. And he pretty much just gave up thinking he had
shared
nothing
the
else.
world with her.
Yeah.
And with her not in it, there's no
But,
world left to share.
So she's never left you. She's always been with you. She's always been there. I keep seeing, like, every time you keep talking about how you're trying to get better, like she always showed me, she grabbed your hand and was pulling you this way. So that's what she was showing me as you were talking about that. So I don't know if she was guiding you back to where you needed to be, but that's just what she was showing me as you were talking.
Yeah.
I don't know why I wrote down a girl with brown medium length hair. Is that the girl who you're with right now?
No, she has red hair. I mean, I was with Ashley. That was.
Oh, yeah. It was a
She
while.
has brown medium like there. She
Okay.
was not good though.
Okay. I don't know why I had to write it down. There's nothing else underneath it but that. But for some reason, we had to bring that down or write that down.
Where's she? I don't
know. I don't talk to her.
I haven't even thought about her in so long.
Yeah, I talked to her. I don't know. I do know she had a kid. I talked to her a while back. She was pregnant. She was asking me what it means, why I wanted to have Brooklyn, and I told her like what it meant to me to have a kid, and that was the last time we talked.
Oh, wow.
Basically, was that little special moment, of two people that really did not get along at all at the end, and but we found
Kind of sets that at peace a little bit.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So pretty much just know that she's always there with you. She's cheering you on. She's your biggest cheerleader on the other side, just kind of helping guide you. So she's so there's a spirit guide and then there's a guide. That's what I am being shown. There's your spirit guide, but then there's someone who's helping guide you through. And I feel that that's her, like, just hence that hand pulling, let's go this way, that she showed me, is that she's your guide, just guiding you through.
Is that traditionally how it is for people? They have a spirit guide and a regular guide?
Not all people. It doesn't come through that way.
Gotcha.
So some people, it'll come through and they'll show me that. They'll show me that they're, walking behind them like this or hovering over their car, and that's their guide. But then you have the spirit guide. So I don't know, because like I said, I haven't had no training or anything. I can just speak from what I'm being shown and what I see. And that's how I see Nicole with you, is she's just guiding you through. For the record, when it comes to like bathroom time, sexy time, stuff like that, spirits aren't hanging around. They're not hanging around to see that. They just kind of like teleport away. They're not hanging out watching that part, although they're with you all the time. They don't see that part for some reason. They teleport away.
Yeah.
So,
If you could float around and see somebody right now, who would you float around and see?
oh, I have no clue. I never even
I
thought
don't
about
know.
that.
Yeah, because it can't be someone that you're with all the time, right? You'd be like, that'd be weird. Like, I see you all the time anyways.
Right.
Who would I
Well-
float
I got a
around?
long list, bro. I can go down it. I'm like my second grade teacher. I'm like, I'm just checking out how she's doing.
Well, the crazy thing is my first husband's dad, he used to always call me a little Jezebel. Always called me a Jezebel. So when he passed away, probably about 14 years ago, I said, "Ooh, you better get your shit together because he's going to see you on the other side and know you're a little Jezebel." So I had to get my stuff together real quick because I didn't want him to be like, I told you.
Want to hear something crazy? So when Nicole had a tattoo on her of a cactus flower and a sunflower that were melded together. After she passed away, I came home and I was sitting in the back. We had this little bench, and there's like a wall that went around it, and there was a bench in the middle. And behind me was growing a sunflower, right? Out of nowhere, there's just a sunflower growing there, an actual sunflower. And it was aimed at a cactus that was blossoming, right?
Wow.
So when I was sitting on the chair, one side of me was a sunflower and the other side of me was a cactus flower, which is exactly what her tattoo
Oh,
is.
that's so amazing.
I always thought that tripped me out. Like, why would a sunflower just grow there all of a sudden?
Yeah.
And it grew there after she had died and we were in Vegas for all that time, right? So within that 3 weeks, a full sunflower had grown from in those rocks. It wasn't even home.
Oh my God.
For that to have happened. Yeah.
Somehow a sunflower seed must have gotten there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
That's crazy.
That
though.
is
So the
crazy.
sunflower seed got there from whatever
what was her
reason.
inspiration for the tattoo? Did you ever know that?
No, I don't really remember. I remember her telling me the story, but I don't really remember.
Oh,
Yeah. I've done a lot of drugs, man. There's a little story about, my memory's not top notch. You know what I mean? Like, you tell me that thing about the ring, and I'm just like, it could have happened.
Yeah.
I could have wore it on my pinky for a little bit, but
Right, and Steve is a witness to it because how many times, like Amy,
Yeah.
no, doesn't.
Yeah.
And then what does she do the next day? She sends
Yeah.
a picture of those daisies in her front yard.
Yeah.
And that's what I was
Sometimes
telling
things
her.
just you realize later, you find it afterwards, like, you know.
I could see her mom wearing it on her pinky finger like that. I could see the ring finger, but unless we were just joking around one time and I put her finger, because she was significantly smaller.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
she's
goes
a very
like right
tiny
there.
girl.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't even have failed my pinky, I doubt. I probably would have sat right there.
I remember you putting a ring right here.
Yeah, and that's what I keep
And
pointing
you
to
don't
is right
wear
here.
it, But I remember you putting a ring right here on your pinky.
Well, I'm sure I have, but I don't know. I don't remember it.
Yeah.
You know.
But no, it's just the final taking off of the ring is what we're
Yeah.
looking at right now.
Gotcha.
Is what she's showing me. Let me rephrase that. What we're
Right.
looking at.
Yeah, well, they would have given it to me. And I remember I gave it to her mom because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. You know, I don't want to.
Right.
Plus, I have it tattooed on my leg. So it's like, you know, and actually the outline is in her ash.
Oh my.
Yeah,
Oh,
which is
wasn't
pretty
that
crazy.
other person they did that too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the second time I heard that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't know that was a thing that could make sense.
Me neither.
Yeah.
That's wild. Wow. So anyway, did you have any other questions that you wanted to ask, and maybe she'll answer for you?
Not right now. I can't.
Yeah,
think of
she
any.
pretty much hit on everything right there, real quick. Well, not everything, but
Yeah.
I was trying to, like, when I was getting ready, I was so nervous, and I'm actually still very cold right now. So I know she's still hanging out. So if she comes in with something else, I'll just shoot you a quick text. I wanted her to come in with like pet names, but like I'm not seeing any pet names coming through. So like Kevin and Nicole, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm not seeing, you were Kev and she was Nick, or anything like that. That's not
No.
what I'm seeing at all. So I was hoping to come in with that, just baby cakes or whatever, and you're like, yeah, that's what you called me. I'm not getting nothing.
No. You'd have to remind me too, because I forget.
Yeah.
I wonder. I can't even remember. I know we had nicknames for each other because we used to say all kinds of weird stuff, right? But I think I mostly called her Nicole, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah. And then, so we're going to go ahead and just switch the page here real quick. So because there's so many people here, I'm trying to keep everybody in the right family that they're supposed to be with. Did your dad pass about 20 years ago or something?
Mine?
Yours?
Yeah. Well, yeah. About 25 years ago.
Because right away I wrote dad, and then I wrote the number 20. So I don't know if you were 20 or if it was about 20 years ago.
I was 17, so 25.
It was the year 2000.
2000?
1999.
1999.
Oh, yeah, it was before I graduated. Yeah.
So before I saw
That's
your
exactly
mom and your
25
sister
years.
pull in,
Yeah, right?
I heard, she is here. So it was a man's voice that said, she is here. And then next thing you know, your mom and your sister walked in.
Ah.
Okay. So, and then right next to, she is here. And then that was that. And I was like, okay, who's here? And then after your sister and your mom walked in, I heard daddy's girl. So were you daddy's girl? Okay. So he wanted to acknowledge you. And you were like the sister mom. And this, if you can go back to when I was writing, this was written before anybody was talking. So you were like the sister mom. You stepped up after dad passed, and you helped mom take care and keep the kids in line, or keep the house in line and stuff. You helped take care of mom. Yeah, because I was like, well, who took care of mom after that happened? And it was pretty much you stepped up and you were the one responsible for mom. Did you help mom? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, they're very tight.
Yes.
They kick me out all the time.
Together.
So,
They're the dynamic duo. You know, I just show up.
They're tag teaming in.
Vacationer in the family.
so your dad's wanting to come in and thank you for taking care of mom and never making your mom feel like she's a burden, taking care of her and watching over her. Okay. Did he die? Was it his heart that took him? Like that?
It was yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Technically, yes, it is his heart, but it wasn't actually his heart gave out. He had something that blew up and it got caught in his heart. A hernia that blew up and got caught in his heart.
Oh, okay, okay. That's weird. Okay.
You want me to clarify that? My dad's heart gave out.
Yeah, we got that over here.
Different. Yeah, my dad's too.
That's all
My dad's
you.
too. So we got
That's
3
all you.
dads.
Okay.
Crazy.
Yeah, jeez.
With your husband, I don't know why I see him in bed. I don't know if you found him in bed.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
'Cause
thought he didn't he die outside?
No.
Yes, mother.
We were together, and he was a little anxious, and his heart started pounding, and this burst, and that's why he died.
Oh my God.
Oh shoot.
That's the craziest
Oh, that's where the
story.
bed came into play?
Oh my
Is this
God.
says bed?
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Well, this is awkward for us. This is probably gonna be the best clip of the bunch, though, right? Is your face getting red? Because if it's on, it should.
So did you get dressed before you called my
Yes.
Yeah,
right.
Jesus.
Holy moly.
Well,
Don't
if
get
there's a
better
way
than
to
that.
go. If there's a way to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So I don't know. So that's pretty much all that was coming in. For you guys, I kind of got sidetracked and I was focusing a lot into what they were talking about. So kind of dad just stopped talking, but he kind of just showed me his fun side of him, I guess, with that whole bed part, just kind of jumping in, wanting to thank your daughter for taking care of you and the love that that you gave him when he was here in the physical world.
Can you ask him, and this is to have in the back of your mind so that he may answer it, but if he visited my mom in a dream, right?
Hold on, let me tell you. Let me ask and then see if he'll tell me when it was.
Yeah.
That would be, because I mean, I could say yes all day, but if I can say about when it was, that would be better. Was it about 3 years ago?
It was a little longer than that.
No, I thought it was right after he died, right?
Yeah.
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 So,
Yeah, but has he been in a dream 3 years ago?
No. But yeah, he came to me and with an angel, you know.
So the first number that came to my mind was 3. So I don't know where that 3 resonates at. So we're going to keep that down. The only thing that I know is Kevin's daughter is 3. So I don't know if he's going and hanging out with her. So let me just see. But to answer your question, without having any validation behind it, is when you dream of them, they're there. When you feel that they're here, and sometimes you get goosebumps, they're there. When you hear a music and it's like the song that you guys used to have, they are there. When they pop in your head, they are there. So the veil on the other side is very thin. So to them, we're kind of like spirits, you know. So they're just here. You can't see their physical body, but they're here. Their spirit is here. Spirit can be in multiple places at one time, kind of like God. He's going to be answering your prayers as he's answering mine over here. We can be in multiple places at the same exact time. I was doing a reading for Steve here, and his dad was standing right here at the window, and then Steve's talked about how his daughter had to go to bed, and it's time to put her to bed, and he said, "I got it," and I just seen him walk out of the room. But they could be in two different places. So why wouldn't he have already been with the daughter? You know what I mean? But that was his way of showing me he's going to go tuck in the daughter and stuff like that. So just a little bit off subject. But just know that they're always there with us. You frequently talk with him all the time. He's saying that he hears you when you're talking to him. He hears every word.
Oh, good.
Was there a brown dog? Was there a brown dog?
Dark brown.
Dark brown dog. He has the dog. I just heard that real quick.
Wow. Good.
Was it a dachshund?
I don't know. But like I said, when they pass, they're always here with us. They don't miss anything. They don't miss a birthday. And they just help guide, like Nicole is guiding Kevin and just trying to help as much as she can, try to keep him going and keep him on the straight and narrow. When you talked about potty training your daughter, I swear I heard her laughing.
Yeah.
So she's enjoying that humor when you're going through all that.
Uh-huh.
That's what she's showing me. So pretty much that's the end of that. And then Adam, with your dad, I definitely, with his heart, I saw that right away with your dad's heart. I put distant dad. Once again, you can review the camera and see that I wrote distant dad before he said he was in Florida. So with that, the bad habits that you had, was that like, and you do not have to answer this, was that like from family? Did you pick that up from family?
You mean like is my family addicts?
Or do you have some family that is?
Yeah.
Is that what you're...
Do I? Yeah.
Okay, you don't have to go into detail. Because I heard Dad said you beat it unlike him. Okay? Does that resonate with you? I don't know what it was. It could have been alcohol and it could have been drugs. He just said you beat it unlike him. He said that you weren't there when he passed.
I was not.
He said that you were not able to say goodbye and you hold on to that part. He said, don't hold on to that. Let it go. He understands that you could not make it. You think that things are left unsaid. But he said, there are nothing left unsaid. He hears you. And he heard, did you tell him? Okay, so I'm just going to say what he said. So he heard that you told him that you were sorry and that you loved him. So he heard you tell him that. So he hears you and there's nothing left unsaid. He knows that you couldn't be there at the passing, and he understood, and he's not upset or anything. But he's very proud of you and the accomplishments that you have made. He does watch over you. Are you having a child?
We're thinking about having a child. Like it's gonna happen this year.
Yeah, that's what he's showing me as well.
I talked to him for a long time after he passed on his cell phone. He didn't answer.
Yeah. Yeah. So just know that he is with you. He's watching over you, and he is so proud of you. He's very proud of you. The accomplishments, and like you said, he said you beat it, unlike the others. So,
for the record, she said this like, she had mentioned this. She was like, "Did your dad pass?" Way in the beginning.
Yeah, right when you came in. Yeah.
So that was,
Yeah.
I didn't, and I was thinking about Kevin. I was like, "Did Kevin tell her?"
I didn't.
I didn't do that,
He
but
No.
knew you were coming.
Yeah,
No,
he told me
well,
that he didn't even know I was coming.
actually, I was
Right.
going to text you asking you if the gentleman that you're bringing has dark hair with glasses and is, I seen him as being about 10 or 15 pounds heavier than what he is now. And he said he did just recently lose some weight and stuff.
Within
So,
the last year, I lost a lot of weight.
yeah, but when I saw him, he was heavier set. And I was going to text you asking just so I can verify for my self-ego. But with that, I decided once again not to. I didn't want to do any more unsoliciting over here. So, so just know that your dad loves you. He's very proud of you. He's with you through this whole thing. and you will be having a baby. I also want to say it'll be a girl as well.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Happy about that. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Your dad just showed me this. So when they show me this, it shows me that he's excited to hold the baby before she'll come on this earth. Okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And that's pretty much all that I had written down.
Cool. It's fun stuff, huh?
That's cool. I get to. I cannot wait to bring that up just randomly to my mom. Yeah.
He's trying to get out of my
I
head.
was looking at her. I was like, "What are you talking about?" Dad was outside because he was. I remember when I came home. One of the worst parts is I saw the blood stains on the from when they were trying to bring him back, like on the front porch when they were trying to sustain him on the front porch, and he said he couldn't breathe. And I remember seeing that. So when she said in the bed, I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Now I know.
Now you know.
Yeah.
He was very happy. That you went the way that we all, I think, as men would like to go.
That's it.
So very cool. Well, anything you want to talk about after that? Like anything else you guys want to do? We did pretty good. We had like a little over an hour. Wow, an hour and a half almost.
I know, usually we're 3 hours.
Yeah, we've had a 3-hour one before. That was crazy. But yeah, really cool, fun thing. Big K Experience. Like if you want to keep on doing this every month too.
Yeah, I'm totally
doing
down.
it. Just you can do it remotely too. We can use like just a Zoom type of thing and just kind of touch on like stuff that you're working on. And I know that you said that you're working on some cool stuff to kind of push forward your journey through recovery and helping others.
Yeah, I want to help people find a solution. That's the thing I'm working on. So if we are going to keep doing this, I'll give you kind of an idea. It's called the 7 Dynamics of Perception. And I believe that everything we do are based off our interests and how they relate to the other 6 dynamics. So I'm trying to figure out a way to help people find direction in their lives, because I think that's going to really be one of the bigger issues, especially because we have AI and that's going to take a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
And so I feel like there's going to be a lot of depression, and I feel like the next big thing is going to be behavioral health, trying to identify how we live in this world when so much of it is being done for us.
Right.
Right. The one thing, so the pursuit of happiness for me is a collection of obstacles in my attempt to overcome them, right? I'm never as happy as I am trying to succeed as I am once I've succeeded. And a great example, I worked at a sales job where if you got 20 sales, you got a huge bonus, right? So from 19 to 20 was the most excited I've ever been at that job. Right? Just getting that 20th sale changes my whole week, right? So I just cannot wait. And everybody I call is leading up to that 20th sale. Then I hit the 20th sale and boom, fireworks go off. Everything's super exciting. 15 minutes later, it's over.
Yeah.
Right? Excitement's over. So all of the joy that I found in my life came from trying to succeed, right? Not the success itself.
Right.
So if that's the case, then we have to have more opportunities in our lives. And that's what the 7 dynamics do. They find what you already see in front of you, what your perspective is of the world. And we use that perspective to guide you in a way that helps you find a solution. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm writing a textbook on it. Thank God my girlfriend is a writer, right?
Perfect.
So when I show her it, she corrects everything that I wrote terribly, right? Because she understands the way I speak, right? My concepts.
Yeah.
But I just don't word them out very well. And if I do, I don't use proper grammar.
Right.
Like, I was the worst. So I was editor of my school newspaper, just to throw that out there.
Oh my
right?
God.
But Microsoft Publisher is a son of a gun, right?
Yeah.
So I would write out my articles, let Microsoft fix it all.
Yeah.
Right? And then I would do that for
Spell
everybody. The only
check,
thing I was
grammar
good at
check.
was good at organizing everyone else to make sure that they sent in their articles. That's what I was good at. But yeah, so
Yeah, heck yeah.
That's
I
gonna
think
be
that's
my goal.
awesome. Yeah, and so like whoever's watching or listening, these Big K Experience shows, I'd like to have sponsors, and I like to sponsor money to go to you directly. So if you're out there and you want to be involved in this pursuit of helping people through their own journeys, this is an opportunity to do that.
absolutely.
Because I think that would be a great addition to what we do. And I know a lot of people in our community need this type of help. I mean, Mojave County is kind of, we're known for a lot of things. And unfortunately, some of them we have high drug abuse per capita in comparison to the average in the entire country. It's very high. We have a little bit more economically depressed areas. There's a lot of factors that are kind of going against us. And so to have tools, certainly from someone who is literally from this area, knows the same qualms that people have been fighting against, to have a tool built specifically feeding into the strengths of a person. That's something when you said that, it reminded me of, because obviously I'm from a sales and marketing background. Gary Vaynerchuk is a guy that I follow who's really into content marketing and the best and living your best life and the power of positive thinking. But one of the things that he talks about when it comes to employment workforce is play to people's strengths. Don't try to fix their weaknesses.
Yeah.
And that is something that you can't get from the corporate world. You get your standard operating procedure, your training manual, and it's basically about molding them to the company, not the company molding to you. And you're trying to create, it sounds like, literally a way for people to play to their strengths and through their perspective create their own plan with your map to help them do that, which is really cool. And it's very unique, very different. I know that most therapy type stuff are literally them trying to mold them to their plan, and I think that's really cool and unique.
And that's and that's it too. So I could talk about this all day, but the idea of one of the program that I go to, it says to remove all defects of character. Right, God is supposed to help you do that.
Right.
So I started thinking about how does that actually work, because God can't remove your personality, otherwise it would defeat the purpose of free will.
Right.
Right. So what does that really look like? It looks like let go and let God. It looks like if I do enough good things, I'll overwhelm the bad things.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if I can focus on all the good things I can do and all my positive traits, I won't have to worry about the bad ones because I don't have time to practice them.
Right.
Right. So if I can see all those, though, because there's a lot of skills I have that I forget that I even can use, right, to make money from, especially.
Right.
And you get these people that come in a room, especially vocational therapists and things like that, where they come in, they go, well, let's play to your strengths, right? Like what are you good at? You know? Well, you try to think of them off the cuff and you're like, well, shoot, right? Well, if you took a day to really look at those things, or even look at the traits that maybe your family has, that your friends have, or whatever, you can say, I could learn from you if I actually spend a little time with you. You know, you might not be the best mechanic and you might not be healthy, right? But you know a lot about studying, you know a lot about, graduating college or whatever the case may be, right? So there's going to be traits that you have that I can grab onto.
Right.
I don't have to rely on you as a whole as a person. I can focus on specific things to find a network of people that can help me achieve almost any task.
Yeah. I think that's really cool. So we're looking forward to that. Start doing this every month. So we want people to get involved. Thanks for coming, all the way from Vegas.
Thank
with
you guys for
them.
having me.
Thanks for the family being supportive and coming and checking it out. That's very cool. Thanks for the little tidbits of didn't knows.
Yeah.
And thanks, Lynn, for kind of showing what your vision of spirit is as well, which kind of goes into the conversation of source and God and higher power and all these things. And
Those
energy.
are my favorite subjects too.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy because I feel like I'm out trying to help spirit help the world while you're here in physical form trying to help
The world.
people as well. So I can keep relating with what Kevin's saying.
Yeah.
Like we're in the same world, but just doing a different type of healing. It's not me who's doing the healing, it's spirit. Right. But like I can so relate with you. And for me, it's not always all about the money. Right. Like if I'm here to help someone heal, like Becky, I'm not charging those people. Like I just want to help. I just want to help. This tattoo, Kevin, a spirit picked out for me.
Oh, really?
His name is Nate. I did get permission from Becky to use their names, by the way.
Oh, good.
Nate was killed walking across 66 last year by Taco Bell. And his sister was having a hard time dealing with his death. So my friend Nikki comes in and is like, hey, I have a friend who needs some help. Will you do a reading for her? And this is probably like my top 5 person that I've read at this time. And I was like, yeah, sure, send her over. What's her name? Her name's Rebecca. I put in the book, Rebecca, no phone number, no nothing. The only thing that came to my mind is, bitch, you got a friend who's not me? Like, that's all I thought about, The lady comes in, have no clue who she is. And I mean, right off the bat, I'm getting brother, I'm getting road. And I'm trying to do my spiel like I did earlier. And he's just, well, he was kind of like, he would have been a great client of yours, obviously.
Yeah.
But with that being said, still a great person, great soul, didn't deserve to lose his life. We had a great reading. Before she saw me, she can work, come home, and cry. She couldn't take care of her kids, couldn't take care of her family, couldn't take care of anything. Just work, come home, that's it. After 3 sessions of talking with me, talking with spirit twice, some healing hands. She no longer is suffering like that. She is able to work, come home, take care of the kids, clean the house, take care of her husband. So she'll come over, we're doing body sculpting and she's losing some fat and stuff. And here's her brother just sitting on the couch and he's a little smart aleck. They are smart alecks on the other side. If they were smart alecks here, they're smart alecks over there. If, they are how they are. So anyway, so he's sitting on my couch being a little smart aleck as I'm doing her. And I'm like, why is he saying this? She goes, because that's something he would say. And I'm like, what the heck? Anyway, so him and I have become very close in the spirit world. So I wanted some angel wings. I seen some angel wings in the sky and I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. Seeing some angel wings, other places. And I was like, maybe I should get some. So I got done doing a body sculpting, made almost $200. Nothing's ever coincidence. I made $200, almost $200. And I'm in pain. I'm laying in bed. I'm wrapped up in my heating blanket. My massage bed's on. I'm going to relax. No one's home. Leave me alone, right? Mm-hmm. I'm Googling angel wing tattoos. I challenge all of you guys. I Google angel wing tattoos, and I want to find a tattoo. I find little wings, big wings, huge wings, tiny wings. Oh, they're all, nothing I would put on me. So I say, I'm going to call on Nate. Now, Nate's brother is a not famous, but very popular tattoo artist in town. His name is Nemo. That is his brother-in-law. Becky is Nate's sister, Nemo's wife. Okay? Uh-huh. So I'm laying in bed. I can't find any angel wing tattoos. They're all lame looking, nothing I'd want to put on me. I call upon Nate. Help me find an angel wing tattoo. After he's here, I'm cold. I got the chills. About 25 pictures later, here's this. Now, I've never been able to share this story. I don't tell hardly anybody this, and now I'm on the podcast, so it's kind of... Anyway, so I hear from Spirit, messenger angel. What? Are you saying that's like me? Like, huh? What? Oh my God. Oh my God. And I get a little teary-eyed and I message Becky. And I didn't know you can't message a tattoo artist asking for a quote. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I message her.
Oh, they don't like that?
No, I guess not. So anyway, so I message her. She messages Nemo. Nemo comes back and says $200. Well, I just made almost $200. Like, what the heck? Mm-hmm. What? Oh my gosh. So I say, okay, see when he has an appointment available. I would like to go and get that done. He's usually 2 months booked out, and I'm usually 2 weeks booked out. At that time, I had spare time. I didn't have any more appointments for the rest of that day. She responds back, now he's drawing it up. I said, what is the coincidence that the spirit of the sister picked out my tattoo and the brother-in-law of the spirit is going to tattoo this on me?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying I'm a messenger angel. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying a spirit picked this out for me.
It is a cool tattoo.
Yeah. Thank you. I have challenged many people to find, without Google searching, this image. Mm-hmm. And how long is it going to take you to find it? It's just amazing how things happen. Mm-hmm. So I got a little bit off subject. But with that being said, I just feel like we're here to just help one another the best that we can while we're on this earth, and just try to help people heal the best we can.
Well, yeah, if you look at when do you feel the most connected, when you're being loving, compassionate, or courageous, right? That's when you feel the most. When you feel the most disconnected is when you're being selfish, self-centered, right? Mm-hmm. Egotistical, things like that. You immediately feel more and more alone as you start to practice those traits. And it's just inevitable. Like, I can be in a room full of people, right? If I'm being self-centered or self-conscious, right? I'm all by myself. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right? Every single time. So if I want to connect, and that's the weird thing about it, right? And that's why it's so hard for me. When people say that there is no God, to me, they sound like the people that say, man will never fly, right? I hear it, right? Because, and this is going to sound goofy, but one of the biggest issues with people in a higher power is they say, well, you're trying to tell me There's some entity out there that listens to everything that you say, that knows everything about you, that knows all your friends. You know, you're trying to tell me there's someone out there listening. Like, yeah. Well, I mean, here's a great example. If you have a hard time believing in that, do you believe in Google? Right?
Yeah.
Because Google does the exact same thing. Right? So because the ability is there, just think that the universe cannot have that same ability.
Right.
That would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right? So I now that in this era of humanity, we're starting to see what God looks like, right? And the physical ability of an entity being able to control an entire world, right, on its own. And because we can see that, it's not so far from us to touch.
Yeah.
But so to connect to that network, right, that is our higher power, we just do positive things, right? And as we do, the world gets closer and closer together, right? Then pulling us farther and farther apart. So that's kind of the beauty of the process.
So today I had a body sculpting session, a mommy makeover. That's stomach and sides for $125, right? This elder lady, I think she was like 80 years old. She comes in and she's in tears. You could just see the tears in her eyes. And I just say, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "I'm just having a rough week. I'm having a rough 2 weeks." So what I offer her is to do a healing hand session. That's just where I clean your aura. I don't touch you. I just hover over you and use my hands to clean your auras, clean your chakras, get you back straight, get you right again. Get your mind straight. I offered her that at no additional charge because you're already here to do body sculpting. Let's just throw this in real quick. So I said, if when you get done with this, if you do not want to do body sculpting, I totally understand. No problem. I did that session. She said she felt so much better that when we got done with the session, I said, "And I'm sure you probably just want to go home and go to sleep now, huh?" And she says, "Yes, I would like to." So I took myself from a $125 deal to a $50 deal. And I felt more, how do you say it, like fulfilled doing that than I would have done the $125 body sculpting.
Yeah, it's all about the connection.
It is.
Right? That's what'll bring joy in anyone's life, I think. We've isolated ourselves from that for a long time. As people, we've isolated ourselves from that. Because it's the American dream, right? It literally is the idea of owning the house and owning the car and sending your kids to college now. And the American dream keeps getting bigger.
Yeah.
Right? The bill keeps getting larger.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, and the idea of being able to fulfill that bill is, again, very difficult. So we get very stressed out and very isolated in the idea that we need to accomplish these things in order to be happy. But, you know, we've also learned over time that people that actually get out there and work and make connections and you know, learn their environment seem to do better than people that just book learn the exact same thing, right? And why is because if you build a bigger network, you get better connections. Right? And that's just the God honest truth.
Experience
spirituality.
show.
Yeah.
Big K Experience show. That's the whole idea. Yeah, you got to experience the reality that you're in. I like that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Well, that's it.
All right.
Until next time.
Yeah.
All right.
I look
It was
forward
fun.
to it. Thank you for having me on today.
Yeah,
It was
heck
so
yeah,
exciting.
man.
Yes,
That will
thank
be
you for having
every
me.
a
I
month. We'll do once a month.
Yeah, we can do it
All
every
right.
month, and then we can cut up a bunch of these parts of it so that we could spread out the content throughout the months to get more people to know it's happening. And I almost played that Eminem song, you know, look who's back again.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna do that when you were
I love
coming in.
it.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll definitely keep this rocking. And then again, people who are listening, sponsors, we would love to have sponsors to help him have the money to be able to do this type of textbook / workbook project that you're doing, because it does cost money to publish things. So
Dude, it does cost money. That's the truth.
yeah, so cool. All right, thank you.
All right.